Coming up tonight on America's Hope, Profiles of Hope. One man, Robert Borelli, served in the mafia. Hear his dramatic story and his turnaround. And then Zoro, one of the baddest drummers on the planet, who's played with the likes of Lenny Kravitz and more. Hear their dramatic stories in tonight's America's Hope, which starts right now. Good evening, I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. We're glad that you could join us this hour, and I always say this, wherever you are, we do hope that you're safe and well, taking care of yourself and your family because you matter. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got two wonderful people who give us profiles of hope. Hope that overcomes adversity, hope that propels you to become the best person you can ever be and to live your greatest life now. One is Robert Borelli. Robert was a member of the mafia. He was a wise guy. We're going to be talking to him tonight. And then we'll hear from the author of this book, Maria's Scarf. The guy who wrote this book is one of the baddest drummers on the planet, who goes by the name of Zoro. He'll be talking to us later in tonight's program. Let's get this started with Robert Borelli.
The family I belong to was the Gambino crime family. At that point in time, the Gambino crime family, I'm not sure where they are today, but when I was involved with it, they were the largest and most powerful of the 5 families in New York. Growing up in East New York, the neighborhood that I grew up in Brooklyn, was a pretty rough neighborhood. It was protected by wise guys. So I really looked and seen that these guys that had these social clubs and hung out in them got a lot of respect from everybody in the neighborhood. So I was very impressed by that at an early age. Then at 17, I started hanging out in Queens with a friend of mine who happened to be one of the wise guys, made guys in the neighborhood, son. His dad would have a spread every Friday night, and we would sit down with these guys, well-dressed guys that had money. But the thing that impressed me the most was how much respect that my friend's father was getting from all these people. In 1975, I came back into the neighborhood and I got arrested. And my first arrest was for possession of a weapon and for 2 murders. And because at a young age, I was only 20 years old, and I kept my mouth shut and just waited and laid up in jail, everybody was impressed by that. So when I finally did get bailed out, I started getting brought around as the up-and-coming star in the Gambino crime.
You know, you're telling me stories about your past and growing up wanting to be a gangster. Your mom and dad were hard workers, yet it was very difficult to make ends meet. A lot of families are still going through that today. And, you know, in America today, sometimes when those families are going through that, they'll still gravitate towards a gang. Does the gang life still exist in America?
Yes, it does. It's very much still alive. I think it's a different concept of how they're doing things. You know, you have cameras all over now, so they have to find other ways of doing it, but it's still very active, yes.
And it's still a very brutal kind of lifestyle.
You know, I think the terminology that we use, whatever gets in your way, you have to eliminate.
So when you're going through this life, drug addiction takes hold.
Yes.
Well, how did that happen, and did it jeopardize your career in the mafia?
Without a doubt, it did, big time. What happened was I was working, after I came out of prison and beat a lot of these cases, I would be paraded around on Mulberry Street with all the big wise guys in different families, and I would be introduced to them as the up-and-coming guy in the Gambino crime family. So we would have a lot of dice games going on, and I would work the dice games. And I just remember this one thing, that there's this one guy that came in, a really sharp-dressed guy. I mean, a lot of them were, but this one guy stuck out. And he lost probably about $10,000 in maybe about 15, 25 minutes. Now, I was a big gambler. If I lost $25, I was very upset. This guy showed nothing, very calm, that he lost all that money. So after he loses whatever he had in his pockets, he talks to one of the guys that run the game and says, could I send Robert out to my car and get something from my car? And the guy said, yeah, give him the keys. So he gave me the keys. I go out, he's got a brand new spanking Jaguar. I mean, this car was gorgeous. And in the back seat, there's a a paper bag, and he says, get the paper bag. So I get I don't look at it. There's just more money. Now, I don't remember if he got his money back, lost it all. I don't remember that yet. But I do remember is after he had left, I was very curious about what he did, that he could have that kind of money. It wouldn't affect his behavior. And they said he's one of the biggest drug dealers in Harlem. So now you got to think. I'm thinking about reputation, money, because money brings people around you. People around you brings power in that kind of lifestyle. So I'm thinking, okay, that's what I need to get involved with. So I started getting involved with the drug business. It was cocaine at that time. And so I got involved with the drug business. And before you know it, after maybe about 10, 12 years, the drug business got involved with my business. And I started losing everything. And freebasing came around, and I thought that was the next step. Maybe I get away from the coke a little bit, freebasing, even though it was a form of coke. And then couldn't afford that anymore. And then crack cocaine came around, and I started doing crack cocaine.
Wow. So how did it affect you in your personal life and your family life, so to speak, because the Gambino crime family was your family?
Well, little by little, they started just getting away from me. I wouldn't, first of all, because of the embarrassment of, I know that I was a drug addict, there was no doubt about it, I wouldn't go around anybody. And there was twofold reason. At first I thought, well, you know, I'd be embarrassing them, and I'd be a lot of shame and guilt on me that I'm coming around them high, the way I was. And then the paranoia set in where I'm thinking, well, they need to probably take me out because I'm an embarrassment to this family. They introduced me to all these guys. Now look at where I am. So it was a twofold kind of thing at that time. But I didn't realize how much damage I did to other people around me until I got arrested the last time in Rikers Island.
And what did you realize then?
Well, you know, I got arrested because I was wanted for cases in Florida, a case in Florida, and then also a case in New York, so I was a wanted guy. And somebody must have gave me up because I passed out on somebody's couch. And I call them angels, but they were warrant officers. They came. The reason why I call them angels, and January 23rd, 1997 was the last time I had a drink or a drug. So they were my angels. They just didn't know it at that time. So I'm in Rikers Island. So now my thing of being incarcerated a lot, I know there's two things I need, because I know I'm not going to get bail anymore because I already ran away from my bail. I need to get money to get a good attorney to get me out of the mess I got myself into. And then I need people to give me some commissary money so I can live as comfortable as I can while I'm incarcerated.
Right.
But the story we didn't go, in 1993, I had my daughter was born out of wedlock. My girlfriend had a baby girl, and I really believed that having somebody come into my life, a baby girl, I didn't want it to change the mob style. I just didn't want it. I figured I would get away from the drugs because I have somebody else to care about other than myself, you know, and a responsibility. And then 7 weeks after she was born, I went and got high one more time. So the old saying that is, one is too many, 1,000 is never enough, is pretty true for my life anyway. So that being said, now my daughter's mom wouldn't let me go around my daughter because of the drug use. And I was really bad. I was getting high 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And so now I'm in Rikers Island, and she's allowing me to talk to my daughter. Yeah. So I call up my daughter this one time, and she's crying. And I said, Brianna, why are you crying? She said, because you won't come and see me. I'm not high. If I could have got high or a drink or anything to numb what was going on at that point in time, I would have ran to that. My heart just shattered in pieces, man. Now, I knew about God, but I didn't know God. So I ran back to my cell. I didn't want the inmates to see me crying. I slammed down the phone, ran back to my cell, and I just cried, God, if you're real, either have somebody kill me or change me. I don't want to live like this anymore. And I just was crying. I say, God, please help me. God, please help me. God, please help me. And I truly believe today that God answered the sincerity of the cry of my heart at that point in time. I didn't know much about repentance or anything like that. Yeah. I just knew that I needed something to change my life. Yes, something to give me the strength, the courage to do the things to have a different life. And I believe at that point in time I was really born again, and God came into my life. And from that point then on, it's just a God story after that.
Wow. Hey, I'm talking to Robert Borelli. The book is an amazing book about his life, The Witness. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about why this once former mafia madman is now, I would have to say, a holy glad man, giving people a whole lot of hope that he once inflicted despair on. That's next on America's Hope.